Most people spend their entire lives trying to win arguments and prove they're right, but they're playing a game they can never win. What if I told you that the smartest people in the room aren't the ones talking the most, but the ones who understand something everyone else is completely blind to? There's a way of thinking that turns everything you thought you knew about intelligence and power completely upside down. It's not about being clever or having quick comebacks. It's not about manipulation or tricks. It's something way deeper than that. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing patterns in people that were invisible before. You'll understand why some people always seem calm while others are constantly stressed. Today, we're breaking down 8 rules that completely change how you navigate every single interaction in your life. Here's the thing. We live in a world that's obsessed with being smart. Everyone wants to outsmart everyone else. People are constantly trying to prove they're right, win debates, get the upper hand. Social media is basically one giant competition to see who can have the best take on everything. At work, people are positioning themselves to look good and make others look bad. In relationships, people keep score and try to win arguments. But here's what nobody tells you. This entire game is rigged from the start. The more you try to win, the more you actually lose. The more you try to prove you're smart, the more you reveal you don't really understand how anything works. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the people who are always trying to sound intelligent usually aren't? And the people who actually know what they're talking about rarely need to prove it? The real problem isn't that you're not smart enough. The problem is that you're playing by rules that were designed to keep you stuck. You're using the same thinking as everyone else, which means you're going to get the same results as everyone else. And those results are usually anxiety, stress, feeling like you're constantly fighting battles you can never win, and wondering why life feels so hard all the time. Rule number 1, stop trying to be right. This is the first rule, and it's the hardest one for most people to swallow. Your need to be right is literally destroying your ability to see what's actually happening. Think about the last argument you had. Really think about it. Were you actually listening to the other person, or were you just waiting for your turn to talk? Were you genuinely trying to understand their perspective, or were you building your counter-argument in your head while they were still speaking? Here's what happens when you need to be right. You close yourself off to reality. You stop seeing what's actually in front of you because you're too busy defending the image you have in your mind. And the funny thing is, the image in your mind isn't even real. It's just thoughts. It's just ideas you've collected over the years. Some of them came from your parents, some from school, some from society, some from random experiences. But you defend these ideas like they're precious treasures, like your entire identity depends on them being correct. But what if they're not? What if half the things you believe aren't actually true? Would you even want to know? Most people wouldn't, because admitting you're wrong feels like dying. It feels like you're losing something important, but you're not. You're actually gaining something. You're gaining the ability to see clearly. When you stop needing to be right, you suddenly become free to actually understand what's going on. And understanding what's going on gives you real power, not fake power, not the power that comes from winning an argument, real power that comes from seeing reality as it actually is. Rule number 2, understand that everyone is playing a role. Look around you. Everyone you meet is playing a character. They're playing the role of the successful business person, or the loving parent, or the tough guy, or the victim, or the hero. They've created this character over years and years, and now they're trapped inside it. They have to maintain it. They have to prove it. They have to defend it against anything that threatens it. And here's the key insight. When someone is defending their character, they're not actually responding to you. They're responding to the threat you pose to their self-image. This changes everything. When you understand this, you stop taking things personally. That person who cut you off in traffic isn't really mad at you. They're playing out some internal drama where they're the victim of an unfair world. That coworker who takes credit for your work isn't really trying to hurt you specifically. They're desperately trying to maintain their image as someone important and valuable because deep down they don't feel that way. Once you see this, you can't be manipulated anymore. Because manipulation only works when you think what's happening is about you. When you realize it's never really about you, you become untouchable. You can watch people play their games without getting pulled into the drama. You can respond to what's actually happening instead of reacting to the stories people are telling themselves. Rule number 3, the mind is a tool, not who you are. This one sounds simple, but it's probably the most revolutionary thing you'll ever understand. You think your thoughts are you. You think that voice in your head, the one that's constantly commenting on everything, judging, planning, worrying, that's you. But it's not. That's just the mind doing what minds do. It's a tool. It's like a calculator that never stops calculating. The problem is, you've been listening to it for so long that you've forgotten you're the one listening. You're not your thoughts. You're the awareness that notices thoughts. And when you realize this, everything changes. Those anxious thoughts that keep you up at night, they're still there, but they don't control you anymore. That inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, still talking, but you don't have to believe it. Most people go through their entire lives completely identified with their thoughts. When their mind says they're a failure, they believe it. When their mind says someone insulted them, they react. When their mind creates scenarios about the future, they get anxious. But all of that is optional. You don't have to believe everything you think. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Most of what your mind tells you is just recycled programming from the past. It's old fears, old beliefs, old patterns playing on repeat. When you understand this, you gain the ability to use your mind instead of being used by it. You can think when thinking is useful and stop thinking when it's not. You can observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. And this gives you a massive advantage over everyone who's still trapped inside their heads. Rule number 4, accept what is, then act. People waste an incredible amount of energy resisting reality. Something happens that they don't like, and they spend hours, days, sometimes years arguing with it in their minds. This shouldn't have happened. Why did this happen to me? This isn't fair. If only things were different. All of that is completely useless. It doesn't change anything. It just makes you suffer. Here's a radical idea. What if you just accepted what's happening? Not because you like it, not because you think it's good, but because it's already happening. Fighting with reality is like trying to argue with gravity. You can argue all you want, but if you jump off a building, you're still going to fall. Reality doesn't care about your opinions. It doesn't care about what you think should or shouldn't happen. It just is what it is. But here's the powerful part. Once you accept what is, you can actually do something about it. As long as you're resisting reality, you're paralyzed. You're stuck in complaint mode. But the moment you accept it, you free up all that energy to actually respond. Someone betrayed you? Okay, that happened. Accept it. Now, what are you going to do about it? You lost your job. That's the reality. Accept it. Now, what's your next move? You got sick? That's what's happening. Accept it. Now, how are you going to take care of yourself? Acceptance isn't giving up. It's actually the opposite. It's the starting point for effective action. You can't change something you won't acknowledge. You can't fix a problem you're too busy denying. Acceptance is what allows you to see clearly so you can respond intelligently instead of just reacting emotionally. Rule number 5. See through the game of opposites. The human mind loves to divide everything into opposites. Good and bad. Right and wrong. Success and failure. Winner and loser. And then it picks a side and fights for it. But here's what most people never realize. The opposites need each other. They define each other. You can't have up without down. You can't have light without darkness. You can't have pleasure without pain. They're not actually separate things. They're two sides of the same coin. And when you chase one side while running from the other, you're caught in an endless game that you can never win. You try to only experience pleasure and avoid pain, but the more you chase pleasure, the more sensitive you become to pain. You try to always be right and never be wrong. But the more you try to prove you're right, the more you reveal your fear of being wrong. You try to win and avoid losing. But every win creates the possibility of loss. Every time you gain something, you create something that can be taken away. The way out isn't to pick a better side. The way out is to see through the entire game. When you understand that success and failure are just concepts, just ideas, they lose their power over you. You can still prefer one over the other. You can still work toward your goals, but you're not trapped anymore. You're not desperately clinging to one side while terrified of the other. You can play the game without being played by it. You can participate in life fully without being enslaved by the outcomes. This is how you become unshakable. Not by avoiding challenges or always winning, but by understanding that winning and losing are just movements in a larger dance. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Neither one is permanent. Neither one defines who you are. Rule number 6. Listen to what isn't being said. Most people only pay attention to words. Someone says something, and you take it at face value. But words are usually the least important part of communication. What matters is what's underneath the words. What matters is the motivation, the fear, the desire that's driving the words. When you learn to listen to what isn't being said, you suddenly understand people at a level that seems almost magical. Someone tells you they're fine, but their body language, their tone, their energy says they're not fine. Most people just accept the words, but you can see through it. Someone gives you a compliment that feels off somehow. Most people just say thank you, but you can sense the hidden agenda, the manipulation, the need behind it. Someone gets angry and starts yelling. Most people react to the anger, but you can see that underneath the anger is fear. And underneath the fear is probably pain. And underneath the pain is usually just a person who feels powerless and doesn't know how to express it. When you understand this, you stop getting caught up in surface level drama. You see what's really happening. And when you see what's really happening, You can respond in ways that actually address the real issue instead of just trading reactions back and forth. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding. It's about seeing people as they actually are instead of as they present themselves. And when you see people clearly, you can interact with them in ways that are genuine and effective instead of just playing the same surface level games everyone else is playing. Rule number 7, let go of control. Here's something that's going to sound completely backwards. The more you try to control things, the less control you actually have. Control is an illusion. It's a game your mind plays to make you feel safe. But it doesn't work. You can't control other people. You can't control outcomes. You can't even control your own thoughts and feelings most of the time. And the more you try, the more stressed and anxious you become. Think about trying to control a conversation. You plan out what you're going to say. You try to steer it in a certain direction. You manipulate and calculate. And what happens? It feels forced. It feels fake. People can sense it. And usually it doesn't work anyway because the other person is also trying to control the conversation. And now you're both just fighting for control and nothing real is happening. But what if you just let go? What if you showed up without an agenda? What if you responded naturally to whatever happens instead of trying to force a particular outcome? This feels scary at first because it feels like you're giving up power, but actually you're gaining real power. The power of spontaneity, the power of authenticity, the power of being present instead of stuck in your head planning and calculating. When you let go of control, you become fluid. You can adapt to whatever happens. You're not rigid anymore. You're not brittle. You can roll with things. And ironically, this is when you become most effective, because you're responding to reality as it actually is instead of trying to force reality to match your plan. Plans are useful, but they're not reality. And when you hold too tightly to your plans, you miss what's actually happening. Rule number 8, realize you're already whole. This is the big one. This is the rule that ties everything else together. Every single problem you have, every anxiety, every stress, every conflict comes from one fundamental mistake. You believe that you're incomplete. You believe that you need to become something, achieve something, get something, prove something in order to be okay. And this belief drives everything. It drives your need to be right. It drives your need to control. It drives your need to win and avoid losing. It drives your entire personality. But here's the truth that changes everything. You're already complete. Right now, exactly as you are. You don't need to become anything. You don't need to achieve anything. You don't need to prove anything. All of that is just a game your mind is playing. And it's a game you can never win because the premise is false. You're starting from the assumption that something is wrong with you, that something is missing. And then you spend your whole life trying to fix the problem. But there is no problem. There never was. This doesn't mean you can't grow or learn or improve your life. It means you can do those things from a place of wholeness instead of from a place of lack. You can pursue goals because it's interesting and fun, not because you need them to feel okay about yourself. You can develop skills because you enjoy it, not because you're trying to prove you're worthy. You can build relationships because you genuinely connect with people, not because you need them to validate your existence. When you realize you're already whole, everything becomes lighter. The stakes get lower. Failure isn't the end of the world because it doesn't mean anything about who you are. Success is nice, but it doesn't complete you because you were already complete. Other people's opinions are interesting, but they don't define you because you don't need to be defined. You just are. This is the ultimate freedom. This is what it means to outsmart everyone, not by being cleverer than them, not by manipulating them, but by seeing through the entire game that everyone else is still playing. While everyone else is desperately trying to prove they're enough, you already know you are. While everyone else is fighting to be right, you're free to see what's true. While everyone else is trying to control everything, you're flowing with life. While everyone else is trapped in their roles, you're just being. So let's bring this all together. These 8 rules aren't really rules at all. They're more like insights, ways of seeing that shift everything. When you stop trying to be right, you become free to understand. When you see that everyone is playing a role, you stop taking things personally. When you realize you're not your thoughts, you gain the ability to use your mind instead of being used by it. When you accept what is, you free up energy to actually do something about it. When you see through the game of opposites, you stop being enslaved by outcomes. When you listen to what isn't being said, you understand people at a deeper level. When you let go of control, you become fluid and effective. And when you realize you're already whole, everything else falls into place. These aren't things you do once and you're done. They're insights you keep returning to. You forget, you remember. You get caught up in the game, you see through it again. You identify with your thoughts. You wake up to awareness again. It's a process. But every time you remember, you get a little freer, a little clearer, a little more able to move through life without being pushed around by every wind that blows. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to be perfect at any of this. You don't have to master all 8 rules before they start working. Even just understanding one of them will shift how you experience everything. Even just getting a glimpse of what's being pointed to here will change your life. Because once you see it, you can't fully unsee it. It might fade into the background sometimes, but it's always there waiting for you to remember. And that's really what this is all about. Not learning something new, but remembering something you already knew but forgot. You already know you're not your thoughts. You've had moments where you've experienced that. You already know that people are playing roles. You've seen through it before. You already know that trying to control everything doesn't work. You've felt the freedom of letting go. All of this is already in you. These rules are just pointing you back to what you already are underneath all the layers of conditioning and belief and thought. Subscribe if this resonated with you.